Well, joining me this week is a video editor. Actually, this is the first time I've had a video editor on the show. So this is the first. Jazzy, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm delighted to have found you. Of course, I think it was Instagram.
Yes.
That it might have been where we found each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if anybody is on Instagram, don't forget to check out Jazzy's Instagram account there and follow over there. So yeah, warm welcome to everybody. This is the AART Podcast and also the Call Time Podcast. So if you follow just film and television, then you'll know that we are also on Call Time. So there's two podcasts for you to follow, AART and Call Time. And our audience is growing. We've just hit a milestone on Instagram today, so I'm thrilled about that.
Congrats.
Yes.
Yay.
Well, it's all about building the audience to get to know these women, you know, from like yourselves, from right across the spectrum of the arts, you know.
I just want to say I appreciate what you're doing for female creatives, you know, artists, cinematographers, editors. Like, this is wonderful. It's so rare that we get to share our voices. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's important. Well, you're more than welcome. And I know you're hiding in your studio, your editing suite there. And usually you're in complete darkness, but you've got good light on you.
Yeah,
Jazzy.
I actually swapped out cameras. My web camera is very dark. So I asked my coworker, I'm like, hey, can I get your like 4K quality? But it is kind of dark. And then I also have like a dimmer back here, which is kind of nice. Yeah. So, but I actually like more light for some reason when I'm editing, because it just, so I'm not feeling so isolated. I do miss having windows though. It's like just completely wall to wall. Yeah.
That's the hard part, isn't it? When you don't see the sunlight all day. How many hours can you stay in that editing mode, Jazzy? Because that's very intense.
I think I've done like 12 hours in one day, something crazy. Wow. If it's like a hectic schedule and they need a quick turnaround and I'm having to work all day, I think I've been here for like probably the most 12 hours. And then there's some, weeks where I've worked, 14 days straight. Just because, again, it's a quick turnaround. The MLS Dochi spot that I had to work on was something like that, where it's like very like, hey, we need this before the Super Bowl. Are you free to work your weekends? And I was at the time. So, but yeah, it just depends on the project. But yeah, I've done that before.
And this passion you have and dedication to it is something you've always had. Where did it start? What's the catalyst for this?
Honestly, I think my mom, she is a hard worker. She's in her mid 50s and she's working 3 jobs still. She's a police officer, a lieutenant for the St. Louis Police Department. And she has her regular job. And then she'll go and do secondary at either the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinal games, doing security there, or the Fox Theater. So she is very hardworking. And I think she's going to possibly do training with the FBI very soon. So she's just like my inspiration for, working hard. And even like growing up, she, I had both my parents in my life, but I lived with my mom. My parents weren't together. And so my dad was in another city. He was in like 2 hours away. So I lived with my mom, but she basically like raised me. And to be able to raise a child, work, she also was finishing her master's degree in college. I mean, she's just like incredible. Like her work ethic is just insane. So I think that's where I get that from. And I've always like inspired to be like her in that way.
And you're the only child, so I'd imagine you're quite close.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My mom's like my best friend.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love her so much. And we'll probably get into this, but like she paid off my college tuition, all my college loans. She did all that for me. She believed in me. Like, I'm a film major. It's very rare for, someone to support their kid who wants to be, go to school for the arts. They always like, oh, we want you to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. But I'm like, Mom, no, I want to be a filmmaker. And so she's always supported me 100% with that. So I'm very grateful for her.
What do you think she taught you the most growing up? Because clearly the hard work is the one thing, but she must have been everything to you if she was raising you as a sole parent.
Yeah, I think it's to do good for other people. Like, she is so selfless. And I will say I'm not there yet. I could be very selfish, but I think she's a great example of that because even before she was a lieutenant and a sergeant, she was a police detective for child abuse. And so she did that for 7 years. And so she's, basically a hero for many people out there in the world. And so seeing her that hard work, I think she had one of the most cases solved during her time there. But seeing her put in the work for that, but also being very determined to help save children's lives and putting other people first, I think that is probably the number one thing that she's taught me is just be very selfless. Wow.
Was there ever a time that you wanted to follow her in her footsteps? No,
I did not want to be a police officer. No, it's not my forte. I am very of an artistic soul. She is very black and white and follow the law and all that stuff. So she, very strong woman, very strong. She had to be, in order to raise me. So, and I think that's probably she's very protective over me. So that's probably why I'm a little bit more sensitive. And so I could never imagine yelling at people and, arresting people and all that, just being the more authoritative figure. I'm more of a sensitive soul. So
what was childhood like then for you, growing up? Because you've been in St. Louis all your life, haven't you?
Yeah. I was born in Columbia, Missouri, which is 2 hours away from St. Louis. That's where my dad lives. My parents met in college, had me, and then my mom and I eventually moved to St. Louis, where she's from. She's from that area originally. So moved there. I lived with my grandma for a little bit while she was trying to make money and then, getting her master's degree as well. I think she was doing online classes. I can't remember how she was able to do that. Anyway, but it was fine. I think we were out in the county of St. Louis. And then once we moved, my mom and I, to the city, because she became a police officer. So at the time you had to live in the city. That was a little tough for me because, like I said, sensitive soul here. So you're going to more city living. And so that just took a little bit of adjustment for me. But eventually I figured it out.
What was school like? Did you make friends easily?
No, I'm shy. So that's another thing. That's why I said it was kind of hard for me. I was kind of picked on in school, especially middle school. I think, I was kind of the teacher's pet, trying to prove myself. And I think there was a little bit of jealousy there. So people looked at me as an easy target because I was, try to do good, do all my work, all that stuff. So, so that was hard. Middle school was hard. Elementary was fine, but yeah, middle school, I got picked on a little bit. High school, much better. Went to Webster Groves High School. But again, I'm just a very shy person. So it was hard for me to make friends. Luckily, I have one of my best friends. We're still friends till this day. So that's 20 years. We've been friends for 20 years. That's crazy. But she kind of approached me, her and her group of friends. And then her and I just kind of really hit it off and remained close. And And then it wasn't until like my adult years where I've got more comfortable making friends. So I have like a more bigger, solid group of friends that I hang
kind
with.
of things were you interested in school?
I was into music. I actually wanted to be a music producer first. I was playing the guitar. I was also into movies. Probably around age of 13 is when I really like got heavily into movies. I drew a little bit. If I had stuck with it, I think I could have been a much better artist, but it just didn't linger with me as much as like filmmaking did. Sports, as a little kid, I played basketball because my dad played basketball. He played in college, so that kind of inspired me to get into that.
He was a Division I player. He was serious about it, right?
Yeah, he was. He would have gone pro, actually. I think Boston Celtics were looking into drafting him. I think it was like 88 or 89. I can't remember which year, or even 87. But he hurt his back his junior year of college. And so he had to stay another year, and then it just didn't work out. So, yeah, he would have gone pro. He was that good. Lynn Hardy. Yeah, he was like, I think he still like holds some records at University of Missouri for their basketball program. I think, at one point he had like the most steals.
Wow.
I think that was recently beaten, but yeah, he was really good. So, but yeah, I love sports. I still love sports. I watch all types of sports, basketball, football. I'm getting into soccer right now, but for a good reason. And then,
what's the reason? What's the motivation to get into soccer now?
Right now, our company's working on the U.S. men's national team documentary series for HBO. So I've been watching a lot of soccer. Yeah, totally. I've always watched the World Cup. It's just been fun. I mean, that's a great like sporting event. But now that I'm so connected with the U.S. men's like team and their players, it's just like I'm rooting for all of them. You know, they're so fun to watch. So I'm excited for that show to be out in May. So yeah, getting into soccer a lot.
You probably
right now.
Can name all the players now by now if you're looking at them all the time.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. I'm like, oh, that's Chris Richards. He just won Player of the Year for the U.S. soccer. You know, I'm like, good for him. You know, so just yeah, it's pretty cool to root for them and seeing their success. And, you know, people have no clue, like, what they're about to get into with that show, man. It's just, I'm excited for the players, just the exposure for them. They're just a good group of people.
Yeah.
So,
well, they've got a little way to go to catch up with the women, though, don't they?
Yes, the women are thriving, and I heard there's going to be a new film, actually, or a series. I'm not sure. I think Netflix is producing it with the 99ers, the Mia Hamm team. So that's going to be pretty cool. Like like a actually like featured like narrative film. Yeah. So that'd be cool. Yeah.
Well, your dad, Lynn, you mentioned he was a homeschool communicator, but he's retired now. How close are you?
Yes,
how close are you to your dad?
Yeah, he just retired. We're close. Just saw him last weekend. He came up in town. We hung out. But I think he's trying to get used to being retired. I think he's enjoying it, actually. But just he's on the go. He likes to be busy, doing things. So I think he's adjusting. So, but yeah, we're cool. We're pretty tight. We always talk about sports and, you know, music. And I think both my parents really exposed me to a lot of movies. You know, it was kind of cool growing up. He'd, you know, show me like Jackie Chan, Jet Li movies, all that type of stuff we'd get into. I love animation. We talk about all the time, like the Batman animated series from the early 90s, which is like a classic. And so that he really exposed me to like fun stuff, you know, that I still like enjoy till this day.
I was going to ask you where your influences came from when you were younger, you know, in terms of your films, the film genres you were watching, maybe that your parents were watching, as you said, and music tastes and things like that. How much influence was there in terms of guiding you to the career you now have?
Oh, totally. So yeah, with my dad, like I said, with movies, action, fun stuff, but also with music, he really got me into like old school hip hop, and that's really my style. With it's like influenced my editing style, even just very like rough, in your face. So that was totally him. Like Tupac, Bone Thugs and Harmony. We would listen to Biggie Smalls, Lost Boys, just a ton of like hip hop, Tribe Called Quest, all that stuff. And then with my mom, she kind of got me into more of, the rom coms. Like I was watching When Harry Met Sally when I was like 5, growing up with that. The movie Big with Tom Hanks, like all that stuff I was watching when I was like in elementary school, got me into SNL, when SNL was really good. So it was, yeah, totally them that influenced my appreciation for film. And then with my mom too, she would break down reasons why characters chose, different decisions within the scene, or, oh, look at their facial expression. That means such and such, just really broke down like things that you're not thinking about as a kid when you're watching a movie. It's really like analyzing things, and also kind of giving examples of real life decisions, you know what I mean? So basically, I'm trying to think of an example. So the movie Love Jones, which I love, is like my favorite romance movie. There's a, moment where the two people, they're like kind of in a situationship, and the one guy's a little upset because, the woman, she can't make up her mind if they want to be a couple. So she moves on, So my mom will break down like the reasoning by why each person's feeling the way that they're feeling. But, it's never expressed in a scene, but just kind of like, oh, this is what this person's thinking. So just kind of like more of a mental, breakdown of what the reasoning behind the character's action within the film.
Where does that come from with her then? What was the interest that she must have had to
I don't know.
Analytical about film?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, she grew up listening to Prince. That's like her favorite artist. I mean, she had like Blondie. So maybe it comes from music and like listening to the lyrics. She's very like lyric driven when it comes to her music.
Is she musical?
Taste.
Did she play?
No, she didn't. Oddly enough, no, that comes from my grandma. She was into music, but yeah, my mom didn't play any instruments, or sing or anything like that. But she had great taste in music and had put tons of records and all that. So, and like I said, maybe she's more lyrically driven, more where I'm more like melody driven, and I think that helps with my editing. I really thrive on finding a good melody or a beat to cut to.
Where does dance fit in then? Did you dance with your mum around the kitchen?
I mean, she showed me a little bit of moves. She does a killer robot. She said growing up, she had work at this mall, and where she'd just do the robot in the window to help sell. I don't know what they were selling, but she was just she said she taught herself how to do the robot really good. It's really creepy actually. But she had me take ballet lessons and jazz lessons since I was a little girl, and I really wish I stuck with it. I don't know why I didn't, but that would have been very helpful later in life, just to be more agile. But she got me into that, and I think it was just probably her trying to help me figure out what I wanted to do, what would my interests be. But I kind of fell off and wanted to do more basketball stuff, and then I lost interest in basketball and got into music, and then that turned into film.
So Donna, you have been exposed here by your daughter. So my next question is an obvious question: is if either of you are into karaoke? If there's a karaoke evening or karaoke when you're driving?
She doesn't. No? Man, no, she doesn't really like to sing. I've done karaoke for the first time ever last year, like, or maybe 2 years ago at our Christmas party for work. And she was like, like telling me to go up there, just this other people can't sing. Why don't you just go ahead and sing? Because I can't sing. She's like, you'll be fine. So I did Nelly Furtado's Like a Bird.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just like, I'm like, that's a crowd favorite. It's a classic. It's not about just like, singing whatever, but just kind of like getting the crowd into what you're singing, and it's just like, I just have fun with it. And so I thank her for that, for pushing me to do, be outside, my comfort zone and step up and have fun. It's like, you only live once, at least try karaoke once.
Exactly. You've got to give it a go at some point, and it could be your, party special now. Once you develop those skills, people know about it. Right.
Yep, exactly.
So at what point then, Jazzy, were you in your youth thinking this could become a career, that I actually enjoyed the moves and, in terms of video editing, and I could be really creative with this. This could be great.
Yeah. Well, editing didn't come to me till like college, but before that I wanted to be in the film industry. So I think around age 13, I watched the film, rewatched it because I had watched it years prior, but I rewatched it again for some reason at age 13. The Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's the most random film ever, but I like became obsessed with that film, and I'd like look up like behind the scenes and how did they make it? And then that's when it hit me with like, I want to watch other films. And so I really got into old films. I'm like into the like golden age of films, the 50s, the 60s, all that stuff. And then the current films at that time when I was a teenager, just like watching those. And so basically I just fell in love with film and then the process of making film. So I'm like, you know what? I want to be a director. I want to be a cinematographer, one of the two, or maybe even screenwriting. So in high school, I had a counselor, recommend a screenwriting course at the University of Tulsa, just like a little camp, screenwriting camp for a week. And I was terrible. So I'm like, you know what? Screenwriting is not my thing, but I could still be a director, cinematographer, who knows? And then once I got into college.
That was Hollins University in Roanoke, Virginia, you went to, right?
Yep. Yes. And you're in Virginia, right?
Virginia.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So I wasn't sure if you've heard of Hollins, but, so yeah, I went to Hollins University, was a film major, learned how to shoot on film. Actually, we were shooting on 60mm Bolex cameras, which is really cool. And then also digital cameras, but you have the opportunity to write a script, direct, and edit. And then for the digital class, we were working on Final Cut Pro 7. And then that's when I fell in love with editing. And I'm like, oh, I actually kind of have like I don't know, like a draw to it. It was just kind of like natural for me to edit. I don't know why. I was not even thinking of being an editor ever. And I just like, oh, this is actually what I'm really good at. But I still wanted to like direct and shoot. So once I left college, I, looked for jobs that I can do, not just editing, but other things as well.
Do you still like to get behind the camera and produce your own things?
Actually, not anymore. No, so once I got my job that I'm at currently, Bruton Strobe, I was just going to edit. And I was completely fine with that. I was ready to give up the ability to shoot my own work just so I can focus on one craft and perfect it. And I was trying to hang on to shooting a little bit. I'm like, I'll just do these side projects where I could just shoot or direct. And I'm like, I'm tired. I just want to go into my suite every day and just have like a routine of just like coming in and like get my creative juice, through my editing. And I was still feeling satisfaction from that, which was key, because I was worried. I'm like, oh, when I get that feeling, that adrenaline rush, that adrenaline hit of like you accomplish something and I get that on set. Will I miss that? It's like, no, I can still feel that way when I'm editing. And I kind of like having more of that control on the final product versus, coming in late or coming in early as a, director. Because honestly, with commercial work, it's really what the agency wants. So you'll have the director, and then after you have your first rough cut, you're not even dealing with the director anymore because they're moving on to other jobs, other bigger jobs or other, opportunities. And so you're just left with the agency. So it's kind of like you've become the director of the project essentially with the agency. So that's a cool feeling, having that creative control.
That creative control, that autonomy, and that's kind of decision making. Where you've got your fingerprints all over it by now, and it's very much your product, and that must be obviously. And I've been in that room, in the edit suites myself, and in that space, I know how that feels because it's in a way it's just as so satisfying as the front end, right? But it's the back end of it all, and then. At that point, then, when you were in college, you felt that you really could make a career out of this. This is home for you in the edit suite.
Oh yeah. So I was very fortunate. I was interning at a place called the Arbor Group during college. So college was in Virginia, but I would come home to St. Louis over the summer and intern with this production company here. And had a great relationship with one of the owners, Deeds Bonham. She's a female director here in St. Louis, and she's done, tons of commercial work, has done stuff for Anheuser-Busch, all that stuff.
Yes, you are in the home of the Clydesdales down there.
Yes, yep, exactly, yeah. And so we were like very close, and she hired me to work as a shooter and editor for Arbor Group. Her and her partner, Michael Steen, is also a director. So they both hired me. And luckily I was still able to shoot and edit, and I kind of just like learned on the fly too. But yeah, it's then I'm like, I could still shoot and edit, but I know eventually I will just have to edit because I know that's what I'm naturally good at. And so I think if I really want to go far in my career, I will need to just probably stick to one skill, just to hone it, just to, get so good at it and just like be that, like allow that to be my primary focus.
Did being in the edit suite all on your own, did that kind of fit with your shy personality? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. My boss now, Lucas Harder, he has to like come in and like, get me out of my cave. He's like, you need to go and, talk to people, be more sociable. But I do get a lot of clients that come in. So that's great, so it's like a nice little balance where I can just sometimes hide, be in my creative zone and just like focus in on making the best commercial documentary, whatever, as much, make it as good as possible. And then when it's time to have clients in, be able to collaborate with them, because that's what we're all about, is collaborating. So I've gotten adjusted to having my time to myself, and that helps me recharge in order to be better when someone comes in and able to communicate with them easily.
You mentioned Anheuser-Busch, of course, and the Clydesdales there in St. Louis. Have you ever had a chance to film or work with them at all? Yeah.
No, I haven't. I actually haven't done any Budweiser stuff, oddly enough. No, actually, maybe I need to add that to my bucket list. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, get up on the carriage there when they drive that team of horses through town. Yeah. It's a tremendous feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Exciting footage, that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to do stuff for St. Louis Cardinals too. I haven't done that yet. I think that would be exciting as well. So who knows? You never know.
What's your favorite genre then to work on?
Documentary. I love working on documentary. Yeah. I enjoy them all. Commercial work, I wish I could do a ton more music videos. Like that would be awesome. But yeah, documentary is where my heart is.
Well, you talked about earlier about the type of films that you were watching, but tell us about the influences or the impressions that you were getting from, or when you started to pay attention to who the director was, watching the credits when you were in the, watching a movie, and who the cinematographer was, who the film editor was, who were the names that you still reflect on as being that early influence?
Yeah, I think probably in high school. I love Sofia Coppola, like her earlier work, like Lost in Translation. That was at one point one of my favorite movies. She was one of my favorite directors. And then Marie Antoinette, when that came out as well, she directed that. And I think that's when I really started paying attention to who's directing what, some of Quentin Tarantino's stuff, like Kill Bill, I loved. Martin Scorsese, just like all his films. He hasn't made one bad film actually. But yeah, just I think in high school and college, and you start paying attention to all that. And then especially in college when you start taking specific classes, I took like a Hitchcock class in college, which was fun. So yeah, definitely when you're made more aware of the intentions of a director's art, in certain classes is when you really start paying attention to who did what.
Well, speaking of that, do you still watch all the credits when you watch a film?
Probably not. No, I'm sorry. It's so easy with streaming to like, all right, next episode or next movie,
Yeah.
So, if I'm in the theater, yes. But only that's because my friend and I are always like talking, like breaking down the analysis of a film. So if I'm in the theater, yes, because we're always like, what did you think of that film? I like da 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 da, or I like this and that. And then while the credits are rolling, I'm like, oh, I know that company that did that, So yes, that's definitely in the theater. But streaming, it's so easy to skip, which is kind of sad if you think about it.
And I'm with you. When I go to the cinema, I absolutely watch all of the credits. And
good for you.
I always have done. I always have done. It's always been, I've always sat there whenever, when the theater's emptying and I'm watching all the credits. Not that I knew anybody, even from a young age. It was just that, who are these people? Who are these people that have made this film? And these days, of course, those credits run on forever and ever, right? With the full feature.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially the visual effects stuff, like the Marvel stuff, like 10 minutes of credits. It's crazy. But it takes a village, man. It takes a whole city to like make art, So we all deserve that credit,
it's
honestly.
It's a lot more than the village these days, as you say. It is a city.
Yeah.
And speaking of those effects, how do you feel about AI?
Do not like AI. No, I hate it. It's fine if you're having to ask a question, chat GPT, like blah, 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 blah. But I don't like that it's replacing commercial work. So I think Coca-Cola and McDonald's had a full commercials produced with AI, taking jobs away from actors, directors, who else? Crew. All your whole set crew don't have jobs because you're using AI. So no, I was very disappointed to hear that. And I'm praying that we don't go in that direction where we're just doing AI consistently. But yeah, I am not a fan. No, I don't support it.
I often ask directors and cinematographers what they first see when they're looking at a scene. Is it light or is it color? What is it for you?
I actually think it's framing.
Good answer.
When I look at a scene, it's like, oh, was it a shallow depth of field? Where is this position? Is it a wide shot? Is it a close up? How can I? Because something can change, especially like, the meaning of a scene. So if you start like on a close up of someone's watch, and then you cut to the wide. What are you indicating versus you start with the wide and then you go to the close up, you know, the meaning of that scene can vary depending on the order of shots. So I think framing is probably what I look at first and foremost.
Well, the other dimension that one of our recent guests drew attention to when I asked her that question, and she said it wasn't either of those things, any of those things. It was feel.
Oh, okay. I love that. That would make sense too. That's a good answer. Man, why didn't I think of that? Yes.
Looking
feel,
through
yes.
the lens and how that scene makes you feel. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But I will add all those elements, though, that you listed contribute to that feeling. So there's not one without the other, honestly.
I'm wondering if you're much of a reader. Do you have time to read? Because you're looking at a screen all day.
Yeah, no, I wish I would make more time for that. But my boss just gave me a book. I'm going to read it. But I do need to make more time. I am more of a movie watcher right now. I'm trying to get into the shortlist documentary, the Oscar shortlisted nominees for the Oscars. So for documentary, featured documentary. So I tend to spend a lot of my time watching movies and getting inspired in that way. But yes, I definitely would love to read more.
Would you watch all of the shortlists before the Oscars?
I'm trying.
That's the goal,
That is the goal. Right now I'm like 1.5. So I have a long way to go. But I've never done that before. I've tend to watch a few that are nominated, the final nominees. But I'm this year I kind of want to challenge myself and make time to watch all of the shortlists.
Do you find that
features?
You can watch them without being too analytical because it's somebody else's work? But do you feel like you do when you go to the cinema that you have to break it down?
So with documentaries, I feel like I have to break it down because also, too, I'm looking for inspiration. If I feel like I am having writer's block in a way with editing, and because I want to make every transition, every cut matter. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do something just ordinary. I need some inspiration. So I'll look to other documentaries just for how did they accomplish this tone, with music, with the order of, cuts, with the order of the structure of the story, even, just how can you approach a documentary differently. So with documentaries, yes, I tend to analyze. It's hard to shut off my brain with that. And also just because I just also am how did they have access to that? I watched The Mistress of Speller recently. That's nominated or shortlisted for the Oscars. And it's incredible, the story. I'm just how did they have access and permission from this family in order to have cameras to just see everything play out? So I think that's pretty cool. But with a regular narrative feature, it's easy for me to just shut my brain off and just enjoy it, and then I'll probably watch it again just to analyze or like I said, get inspiration for my own work.
Do you find time for music then if you're watching so much? Yeah.
Oh, where's the music? I love listening to music. Are you totally listening to I have time for that.
When do you find time apart from driving or working out or?
Oh, I was going to say my commute's pretty long. So I have a 40-minute commute to work. So that's when I get my listening time in. And then also if I'm needing to figure out what kind of tone I want for a scene, especially with documentary, I'll go on to Spotify and just start looking through music just to get some tone inspiration. I love how the hypeness of this beat. Let's see if I can, find something similar to it on a music library or, just kind of get some inspiration from music. Music totally helps inspire me totally, for like whatever I'm editing. It's probably one of my like my main inspirations,
So it's really
honestly.
important then to
And
the process.
yes, absolutely. Because here at Outpost, we're very sound driven. So the sound, the audio, the sound design, the music is just as important as the visuals. You know, and sometimes my boss is like, "Hey, I'll cut with sound first before I even like if before you even see any visuals on the screen." So that's why like it's just so important to us here.
Do you go off for a walk or a jog or something with your AirPods and, to transition somehow from what you've been looking at all day or what you're going to look, what you're really absorbed in when you're focused on the project that you have, to step out of that and just be listening?
I have to say I'm very unique. I don't. I like to be in it, I will just be like in my little cave, and that's probably why I have a lot of anxiety. But I just stay in my zone, after work, I'll probably go work out or, go on the treadmill or whatever. But I definitely like linger in my suite, and I'll ponder things there. Or like I said, I'll go and, go to music here and just kind of like look for inspiration there. But yeah, I should probably get out more. I'm sorry. I'm very driven, with what I do. And so I love being in my suite. My suite is like very decorated to my taste. I have like a whole montage of like photos that I can see for inspiration. So yeah, it's what I love to do.
What about pop culture otherwise, though? How absorbed do you feel you have to be, and how much do you enjoy of absorbing, all genres? I mean, not just the lane you're in today.
Yeah, I am a pop culture fanatic. Yeah. And that's probably, like growing up as a teenager, I was like into People magazine, Vanity Fair. Like I said, I was into the golden, age of movies. I know so much about Natalie Wood, Marilyn Monroe. Like, I was like so into that as a kid. And then like now I still stay with it just so I can be in the know and know what's hip. And so that totally inspires me again with music. So I try to like keep up with what's trending right now in order to make sure what I'm using in my cuts is accurate to the time now. So yeah, totally. It's very important. I know way too many celebrity like rumors and gossip and all that. I know way too much. Like I'm like, but sometimes it comes in like in full circle moment, might help you like further down the line, on a project. So
yeah, and I imagine it's important in many ways because your work is all contemporary, right? Just not it's not that you're going outside of that box at all. You need to be very current, I would imagine.
Yeah, and even with editing trends too, you have to know what's trending now. I can't really get away with crossfades anymore. You don't see too much of that. So yeah, it's very important to know what people are liking right now in regards to editing.
And the other thing, as an observer, we notice is the pace of editing.
Yes, very important.
And how that has changed dramatically over the years, certainly my lifetime, but today it's like if you blink you're going to miss it.
Absolutely. And I'm actually all for that. I like more of the fast-paced cutting. That is my jam. I love it, just kind of like I said, like in your face type of thing. I won't do it for everything. I know a time and a place. I know certain things call for a slower pace, and I've tried to like master that as well. I'm doing, I'm trying to pick a time and place, like I said. But yeah, and I kind of miss that with movies though. Like I said, growing up, When Harry Met Sally, I rewatched that, I think over the holiday break, and it's just like the pacing of that scene where you just kind of sit with the two characters and you're just like listening into this conversation and like nowadays it's just like go, 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 go with your scenes, between two people. You don't really just sit with them and contemplate what do they actually mean? What are they not saying?
Yes.
So I do miss that with feature films, but with like commercial work and all that, it's fun to kind of see something different, especially with the pacing of editing. It's cool to experiment. It's cool to, mess with the pace within a commercial. You can do rapid cuts and then cut to something very slow. And so that kind of gives you more intention with your rapid cutting, so it's fun to mix it up, honestly. So even though I'm more rapid cutting type of person, but I think it's just as important to do the more slower pacing when it calls for it.
We mentioned obviously the importance of staying current and pop culture, but where does politics fit in? How wide a lens do you have in the political world?
With politics, I think really just affects the business aspect of what we do. Not so much about with what we're cutting, but definitely you could tell when brands are afraid to spend money based on what's going on politically. And that's definitely, true for every company that I worked for. I worked for universities in Florida, and it's just like, oh, we have to wait and see, who gets elected, and see how we want to spend money. And even within like politics within a university, when you have a change of presidents and within the university's president, and how, which route they want to go, because, the previous president was more, about like, hey, let's market our culture. And then the second president's like, no, let's do more, research-based videos. So yeah, totally affects the business, but also, I guess, within certain companies, what story you want to tell, basically. Yeah.
What does religion mean to you, Jazzy?
Very important. Extremely important. Like, I'm a spiritual person. Honestly, some days I'm like, I don't know how I'm doing this. I don't know how I'm cutting, but I'm just kind of like tapping into God's energy. And he's just like, kind of like just showing me what to do. I'm like, I don't know how I got to that, to that point in my edit, but here I am. And it's just like, yeah, it's God's doing. So, but yeah, spirituality is very, very important to me. So
do you practice rather mainstream religion?
I'm a Christian, so I would say non-denominational though. So I'm not like, I grew up Baptist, but I don't attend a Baptist church. So I was attending non-denominational, but I moved. And so I actually don't have a church home. I need to find a church home. That's the next goal. So, and I think that's one of my goals for 2026 is to be, I guess, more spiritual forward, kind of like making that more my priority of getting closer to God. So I'm like in the middle of reading the Bible. There are some parts that are very hard to get through, like numbers, and but it's something I'm working on, which I'm happy about. It's like I'm not giving up. I'm tending to press forward, But yeah, I'm trying to read the whole Bible.
Given you're such a visual person, what art is appealing to you? Do you gravitate to galleries at all, or?
I like photography. So I can't name any like specific artists, but I like black and white street photography. I think I kind of like have been heavily influenced by that. And again, it goes to framing, just like I'm more impressed with how, I guess, back in the 50s and 60s when it was really blowing up, of how people were able to just like freely take pictures of people on the street without someone like freaking out, you know? But yeah, I love photography. Just finding inspiration in that. So yeah.
Do you get time? Do you go out on the street yourself?
No, I tried in the past. I just, again, felt uncomfortable just flashing cameras in people's face, you know. If I'm traveling, then yes, I will bring my my film camera and just take, you know, tons of photos with my friends, or, you know, where it's like when you're more with a group, you feel more comfortable taking photos just in public. But yeah, just when I travel, that's when I take photos.
How do you unwind, given the intensity of the job and also that you are seemingly a private person, still, you know, like to be in your own world and space? How do you unwind from all of that?
A glass of wine, and I think, yeah, watching movies. Really, I love movies, and that's how I unwind. Or a good TV show. I have to say, TV has really, you know, stepped it up. You know, the streaming services are really putting in a lot of money into doing quality TV shows. So I actually like binge watching, honestly. And then there's certain places I like to go with my friends. A couple of restaurants, like we love going to Brennan's Maryland House here in St. Louis. My friend really loves going to this wine bar called Sippy's. I'm trying to get more comfortable going there as well. But yeah, it's hanging out with friends, just like, you know, just relaxing. I love all that. But yeah, definitely movies is probably my number one like go-to to unwind.
What about your family, though? How much time do you have with your family? Do you have grandparents still living?
Yeah, but two of my grandmas are living on both of my mom and my dad's side. So, but they live far. So my dad, he's from Detroit. So his mom still lives in Detroit. And then my mom's mom is in Washington, D.C. So my uncle lives there with his family. I'm sorry, she lives in West Virginia, but like only an hour or two from DC where her son, my uncle, lives. So my mom and my dad are really the closest people here. So my mom, of course, lives in St. Louis, but my dad lives 2 hours away. And I think that's all the family we really have here in St. Louis. Everyone's spread out. That family in Georgia, like I said, Detroit, and then Virginia. So
what's a perfect vacation for you? Is that, Jazzy?
Trying to think. I went to Italy once I graduated college. That was fun. That was pretty perfect. Except I lost my luggage. But other than that, it was great. My friend, she was like studying sculpture in Italy at the time. So she knew like a little bit of Italian. And then we went to this island, Isola del Giglio, which is like, I think where all the Italians love to go vacation. So it wasn't tourist heavy. And we stayed there like in this little like Airbnb, like this little villa, like guest house villa. It was just amazing. We were cooking. It was just eating gelato every day. That was perfect. Yeah. And my mom's learning Italian right now, and she really wants to go to Italy. So I'm hoping to go back again with her.
Well, there's inspiration for food, and I was going to ask you about cooking if you enjoy cooking.
I enjoy cooking. I just wish I was better at it. If I had more time, that's going to be my hobby. My mom got me cooking classes for Christmas, so I am going to like go heavy on that. I enjoy it because it's just something where I can turn my brain off. I guess it is another way of decompressing, but where you could just use your hands. You don't have to think. You could just follow directions. I don't have to think creatively in regards to like with editing. I'm like, all right, I have to think, 10 steps ahead with Cooking, it's like, all right, step one, let's do this. All right, I did it. Step two, let's go and do that. It's just kind of like very more straightforward. Not to say, there's chefs out there, of course, creatively can kill it, go after it. But with me, with cooking, it's a little bit different where it's more simple, the way that I go about it. So I enjoy cooking, and yeah, I definitely want to do a lot more with it and take classes and all that. So, but it doesn't really like feed me with my editing, but it definitely helps me relax.
Well, it leads me to my final question, and that is your dinner party, where you get to invite 6 people, living or dead. Who are they going to be?
All right. Let's see. Jesus. Okay. Talked about spirituality. Marilyn Monroe, because I just think her life is fascinating, and I would love to just like want to know her insight of Hollywood, how toxic it was back then. Tupac. I love Tupac. I think Pam Grier.
Okay.
Foxy Brown. I think she lived through the 70s, that age, and just like kind of get her insight of life back then as well. So that's 4. Selena, the music artist. I think she just seemed like a really good person. And then also a good person, Dolly Parton. And also fun. I think she'd be great.
That's 6.
Is that 5? I think that's 5. Oh, that's 6. Okay, then yeah,
that's a great list.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering what kind of conversations you're hoping to elicit, and have you decided who's going to sit with who? What kind of conversations you want to have?
I really want to see Tupac and Dolly Parton sit together. I think that would be kind of hilarious, actually. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that would be fun. Conversation probably about fame and how destructive that can be, but also I think life lessons, what they've probably the biggest lesson that they've learned from life, especially from Dolly Parton. I think that'd be pretty fascinating, and Jesus, of course. I think that would be very life-based conversations.
What do you want to ask Jesus?
I think, how hard was it to be a good person no matter what? Everyone's like, be like Jesus, and it's just like, sometimes life is hard, and how do you not have the temptation to get revenge or to be, like, told you so, just kind of like that attitude about certain things, how to hold your tongue, and letting things pass you, not letting, not to get too upset about things, and know that it's not going to matter, 5 years from now. Just like, I guess better anger management. Not to say I have any anger issues, but just like in life, when things kind of like pop up, it's like, how do you not get so upset or even sad, about it? And just like, how do you move forward in life?
Goals. We're into 2026 now, a new year. What are your goals going forward, Jazzy?
My goals are to keep doing what we're doing here at Outpost. We have great things ahead. I'm so excited for the HBO documentary series featuring the U.S. soccer team. I'm also excited about just what our whole department's doing. Other projects that I'm not even involved in are going to be blowing up this year. I'm not sure I can speak about them yet, but great things ahead coming very soon. And then I just want to, I think, eventually cut a full feature documentary, on my own. So I think that's the goal. I don't know when that's going to happen. And I think it'd also be cool to like direct a documentary too. But just like finding the time is going to be the difficult thing about that. But yeah, I think just continuing to do what I'm doing, working hard. I think that's the goal. I think I'm on the right path right now.
Plus spirituality, you'd mentioned, and
yes,
and a trip to Italy,
yes.
maybe with your mum.
Yes, and
in Spain. Okay.
My dream place is Spain. Hers is Italy, but I've already been there. But I'll go again, totally. But yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like a fun year ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Let's let everybody know how they can find you on social media, Jazzy.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram at Jazzy Kettenacker, JazzyKettenacker. And then I have a website, jazzyeditor.com. Let me double check. I'm so sorry. I also have a LinkedIn, but I don't really use it. Yeah, jazzyeditor.com is my website. And then I'm also on the Bruton Strobe Outposts website as well.
Well, we'll put all of that in the show notes. And, of course, we're on Instagram at the AART Podcast. And you can always reach us here by email or by dropping a comment on our Instagram. Our email is the AART Podcast. Don't forget 2 A's too. The AART Podcast. And I'll be back in 2 weeks' time with another episode, both on YouTube. You'll get the full video now, and also on any podcast app. So my thanks again to my guest this week, Jazzy Kettenacker, and to you for listening. And the very best of luck, Jazzy, with everything that you're doing this year. And we will be following you on Instagram.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you again for doing this. This is amazing. And just like the way that you're giving out to, our community, I mean, it's just like, it's well appreciated. Thank you so much.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Well, thank you all for listening, and I'll be back in 2 weeks' time.